Morning Talk on SAFM.
Thank you very much, Vabakshni Chetty, updating us on what's happening here and further. The Orange African Cup of Nations starts right here in South Africa on the 19th of January. 5 top-class stadiums around the country to choose from. 16 African countries participating. Will you be there? Tickets can be bought at participating Spar stores. Miss it, miss out. The Orange AFCON 2013. The beat is at Africa's feet. So just urging you to go and buy the tickets for the Cup of African Nations tournament, and it starts on the 19th of January. The opening ceremony, the first match is going to be here at the National Stadium, the National Stadium here in Johannesburg. Okay. Now, yesterday during our discussion with the University of KwaZulu-Natal, we had a couple of calls from unemployed graduates. Even over the years, many young people, some of whom are graduates, find themselves feeling discouraged and not really knowing what to do. For those who find themselves in this situation, how does one manage to stay positive? Joining us now, Vusi Thembekwayo, who's a motivational speaker, and Thamsanqa Maqubela, who's Chief Executive Officer of the South African Graduates Development Association. Lotta Mayana is a former unemployed graduate and motivational speaker, been unemployed for about 3 years, also became a taxi driver, and today has a good job to talk about. So will join us shortly as well. First, Thamsanqa, good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, Vio. Good morning to SAFM listeners.
Tell us about what you do as the South African Graduates Development Association.
Thank you, Vio, for the opportunity. SAGDA has been established 16 years ago by I must say, encouraged graduates who found themselves unemployed at the time.
Yeah.
Those included the likes of Vukile Nkabinde, Brian Kopedi, and a number of them. These are today senior and executives who are really doing good and well for themselves.
Yeah.
We thank them for the foresight they had in setting up a legacy. What SAGDA does is to prepare students for the world of work.
Okay.
And really to ensure the absorption of graduates into the South African economy. The statistics that we have, we work with 2 statistics from the Stats SA, that we have over 300,000 unemployed graduates, and from the private sector, particularly the AFCON group, is that there's now around 600,000 unemployed graduates. So whichever statistics there may be, either 600 or 300,000, for us it's immaterial. The point is that these are both unacceptably higher.
Yeah.
So what we do as SAGDA, I joined SAGDA late 2010 with a view to professionalize the organization and ensure that it increases its appetite for placement of graduates.
Okay.
So what we do, we work with private companies, with government departments, with SITAs to ensure that we absorb graduates. We give them work exposure programs so that they begin right from when they have the in-service training or work integrated learning, and we take them up with those who want to run their own businesses. We link them and refer them to your DFIs. And it is very important that we also have a campaign that we're running at the moment, which started late last year, of absorbing and putting through work opportunities graduates with disabilities. We're quite delighted that a number of companies are coming through who requires to have a number of these unemployed graduates with disabilities so that they can employ.
How many graduates on your books right now?
18,000.
18,000.
That's correct.
These are people with a BA, BCom, BSc.
A number of them.
Yeah.
We are inundated largely with those with accounting. Very strange. Particularly from your universities of technology. You have a number of engineering graduates, particularly those who still have to, complete their in-service training. For me, this is a serious wastage. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's also welcome Vusi Thembekwayo, who is a motivational speaker. Vusi, good morning to you. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Just your thoughts about this, graduates being unemployed, young people not finding jobs. What are your thoughts? What comes to mind?
So I think, first as a young person, the question we've got to be asking ourselves as a country is what is the psyche that we're building?
Yeah.
And it's a psyche that we're building consistently over time, over years, that begins to fester and manifest itself in how young people behave. That, I think, is the fundamental question. So if we're looking at matric pass rates and how young matriculants are doing. And we're asking the question, why is it that the overwhelming majority of young people who get into grade 8 don't finish high school? We need to begin to look at such causes. Because indeed, if you're growing up in a township and you're watching somebody who is a great student, who's doing well, they finish their high school, they get a distinction or two, they go on to further education, and after that they find no employment, young people model behavior that they've seen closer than anything else. So whereas our behavior for some of us might be driven by where we're educated or with people with whom we associate, for young people it's more important that their behavior is driven by the examples that they see. So the true question, and this is the danger that we face as a country, we need to be asking, is what is the psyche of the young person we are building today? Are we building a psyche of a young person that says, I want to grow up in this country, I want to become somebody who's productive, somebody who's employable, or who can employ and who can add to the growth of this country? Or are we building a psyche of young people who are becoming apathetic and who are saying, well, actually, maybe I should also just try and find that get-rich-quick scheme?
Yeah.
Because that is inevitably the route that we head down. And it's a very dangerous line that we thread.
18,000 graduates on the SAGDA database. If you were to talk to them, what would you say?
Well, I think the very first thing to say is that you must understand that nobody's going to give it to you. If you want it, you've got to go get it. And it sounds so simple to say it, but to live it is an even more difficult part. So not dissimilar to the 18,000 young people he'd have in his graduates. I, for instance, didn't finish my university. I was kicked out of Wits University for inability to pay my fees. They have a term for it called financial exclusion. And I'm busy with my MBA today. And I think the question for young people is, what is it that you want to do and what are the tools that you need to get you there? You see, a part of the challenge we face is many young people get education for the sake of education. So in fact, we don't have educated young people. We have certificated young people. I sit on 3 boards and I serve in various organizations, and I can tell you the fundamental challenge we face is in each of the young people who apply to join our organizations and businesses, whilst they might have a certificate, they're not actually educated. They're just certificated young people. And it's a very dangerous line that we're threading as the country. So the difference is...
Are your 18,000 people certificated? They're not educated. They just have pieces of paper.
By and large, you do find about 25%, those that are in the database are highly certificated, not educated. And I think I'm glad that he's raised the issue of being certificated, which is true, because then you can be educated and still not be learned, without taking this further. So what we're saying is that we really work on them to say in life, it's got to be, and it's got to start with you, to be, to do, and to have. Those 3 things, we palm them all the time. To say in life, to be able to succeed, you've got to be, which is linked to your purpose as a person, to say what it is that I care so much about. That whether I'm educated, whether I have parents that I cannot use as role models, I'm able to say this is what I want to do in life. Because if you look in life, all the innovations and inventions, there were no role models for them to be here today.
Yeah.
So that is the model, that is the plight that we're taking through SAGDA, to say young people, you are actually supposed to be part of the solution when you're a graduate, not part of the problem.
Let's speak to Lotta. Lotta Mayana is a former unemployed graduate. Lotta, good morning to you.
Good morning, Vuyo, and thanks for inviting me. Good morning to Vusi and Tamsanga and SAFM listeners.
Thank you for joining us here on Morning Talk. Tell us your story.
Well, basically, I have diverse qualifications in the field of chemistry, business, administration, and information systems. And I've not been successful at some point in finding employment. And there were definitely a couple of things that I think they led to that. But what I've then done for myself, I thought, look, I'm not going to sit down and I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
And what I then did was that, okay, I'm not going to be choosy. Let me find any sort of employment. And then I decided to take on taxes because there's always taxes. And there's a couple of things that...
Hold on. When you say you've got a number of qualifications, what do you have? You've got a university degree?
Chemistry.
Okay.
And business administration.
Okay.
And information systems as well.
From what university?
CPUT. And now I'm
Which
busy
one?
completing with Wismar in Germany.
Yeah. So, and then you've got these qualifications. Now you can't find a job, and then you get into the taxi industry.
Yes.
You drive a taxi for how long?
Well, I drove a taxi for 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that like?
Well, to me, basically, it was it was frustrating when I took on it, and I just couldn't think that after having achieved so many qualifications, you could still drive taxis. And I got to understand the frustration that your security guards would have at work, some of them when they're being undermined and things like that. Sometimes it's not that they chose to be there, it's circumstances.
Yeah.
But what I've learned also, I've got valuable benefits in connecting with people, because I would drive between, I drove in Cape Town from Gugulethu to Cape Town, which is the city center. Then I drove taxis in Durban as well, the South Beach route up to Brea via the market. And it was quite fun, because I would have conversation with people in the taxi, and I believe that I wanted to make the taxi industry a better place, because people have a certain perception of that industry, but also because of the people that you deal with, the kind of treatment that they give you. I've learned to be patient and humble as well. I've made new friends, and certain people, they got to know me, what I have, and they will bring me advertisement.
Okay, all right. Just hold the story a little bit there. I want to bring in our panelists here and just get a sense. Vusi, what do you make of the story? Is it an example of what people can do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such an inspiring story, and I think the most amazing part about it is where he started. Esekteni, so many of us want that which is too far for us to achieve at the point at which we want it. I'm going to say it again, especially for young people. They want that which is too far for them to achieve at the point at which they want it. It's not to say that it's unattainable, but it's to say at a certain stage in your life, it's not going to be possible for you to get that. And so here is the real question. If you have a young man of this caliber for instance, we can't find enough young people these days in doing information systems. Statistical analysis is one of the most important parts to be performed in business today, and you cannot find enough young people to perform it. So if you have a young person of this caliber who can't find a job, and this is what you will often find, is that young people who are resilient will rise above the circumstances, no matter what the circumstance. And so here's indeed a good example. Goes and gets himself employment in the taxi industry. By no means a place where most of us would look for employment, let alone a little bit of inspiration. And thinks, whilst I'm in this, I'm going to make it for a better go. So I think there's an example that young people must take from this. That if you want it, you need to roll up your sleeves, and more importantly, you need to look at your life in the context of your life in the greater span of time. So whilst you might be doing things now that are not necessarily taking you in the direction of things you want to do, but it's about getting busy, getting employed, putting yourself in a situation where you at least can occupy your time and your mind to become a better human being.
Just distinguish this, certificated and educated.
Well, so certificated are young people who go in, they study, and they come up with these great certificates and great subjects. Yeah. But you put them in a place of
and
work.
Great passes.
And great passes, some of them. Eh? Yeah. I mean, academically, they do okay.
Yeah.
But you put them in a place of work, and they add absolutely no value, even after you've done induction programs and you've trained them, and. Those are the first caliber. The second caliber, Vuyo, which is where we're seeing a massive number of young people, is the young people who follow the trend. Mm-hmm. So 5 years ago, you had a problem, and Utamsang will tell us more, I'm sure, on this statistically. But 5 years ago, you had a problem of young people who had graduated in IT and IT programs that couldn't find employment, because there was a time when you had to get an IT qualification. We're in the accounting space now, so most of the young people, I would imagine, are sitting in accounting, and I'm just quoting this top of mind, but something tells me he will affirm this statistically. The question is where we're going to be in 5 years' time. So what young people are doing is they're following the trend of, the in thing to be right now is a certified IT technician, then I'm going to do that. And then 5 years' time, it's, the in thing is to be a CA, well, I'm going to do that as well. I mean, we do work with the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. They're one of our clients. We do work with them on the Student Leadership Development Program. And the reality is that many of the young people who come to those SLS programs are young people who often won't grow up to be CAs. But it's around developing them as leaders so that they can become people who benefit society and the greater good.
Lotta has an incredible story.
Yeah.
It's an incredible lesson and life lesson, actually. I think he's very blessed. Where he went, I think it's a very good place. What Vusi has said, a lot of graduates, they have hopped up thinking to say, you know what, I've studied, I'm a financial management accountant, and I'm going to be a manager. My first day at work, I'm going to manage. There's no such Vuyo. The deeper the foundation, the firmer and stronger the building. That's the message we send to our graduates. The second thing, what Lotta has learned, it's humility, it's patience, and entrepreneurial genius that you can never find anywhere else. The largest consumers in this country are African people, and that's where he was. right with them, knowing and understanding very well the intricacies. The inner being of the taxi industry is the largest transport hub in this country. And having a graduate with IT and probably accounting is a greatest benefit to the taxi industry and to LOTA as well. But there are two things that I want to also respond to.
Yeah.
The issue of being certificated. Most of the graduates do not look at what is really scarce. What are the scarce and critical skills for South Africa in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years? So we at SAGDA are working with universities, colleges and SETAs to say we're putting up an encyclopedia of scarce and critical skills so that young people would know in the next 15 to 20 years where would be the demand. The next thing that we have is that young people lack what you call employment attraction skills. You have to look for your job right on the first year of your university studies.
Okay.
If you cannot find your employer during your first year, you'll never find a job.
All right. 20 minutes past 10. Let's take your calls at 0891 104 207. So you're a graduate, you're unemployed, you're a matriculant, you've come out of high school, you're not able to get into a university. Give us a call at 0891 104 207. What have you done? What are you doing? What ideas are on the table right now?
Morning Talk on SAFM.
22 minutes past 10 o'clock. The Orange African Cup of Nations starts right here in South Africa on the 19th of Jan. 5 top-class stadiums around the country to choose from. 16 African countries taking part. Will you be there? Tickets can be bought at participating Spar stores. Miss it. Miss out. The Orange African Cup of Nations 2013, the beat at Africa's feet. And just to remind you, Bafana tomorrow are in action at the Orlando Stadium in Soweto. Kick-off is not at 3:15 as previously advertised. It's at 8:30 in the evening. There is a heat wave in the country. There's a heat wave in Joburg. So because of that, the kick-off is in the evening at 8:30. Okay, let's take your calls at 0891 104 207. Let us speak to Yolanda. Yolanda is in Cape Town. Good morning to you, Yolanda.
Hi, good morning, Vuya. How are you?
Good morning. I'm nice, and you?
I'm not okay. I'm one of those unemployed graduates.
Okay.
I've been unemployed for the past 3 years. However, soon after my qualification in public relations, I then decided, because I didn't want to sit and do absolutely nothing, to do a data capturing course, which I did and completed. And soon after, I then volunteered at a school in Johannesburg. And the argument that you get from professionals and also when reading the newspaper is that there's a portion of graduates in the fields like accountancy and engineering and medicine who have a better edge, competitive edge than others. And this is not true. You will discover as well, and I think Utamsanga also alluded to this, that there are engineers. A bulk of unemployed graduates are actually engineers that are unemployed.
Okay.
And so the question really is what efforts have organizations such as SAGDA made to engage the private sector to say, look, give us graduates opportunities to have and participate in the economy.
Okay.
And also, look, in the corporate world, there are opportunities, there are jobs that are available. But if you read as well, you find that companies are making it difficult for us to enter. You find that you can perform certain duties, but the only clause that is really limiting is when they say 4 to 5 years experience. How are we supposed to gain that experience when we are not given those opportunities?
Okay. Thank you very much, Yolanda. Saddam in Pretoria, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm nice, and you?
You know, when you come on air,
Yeah.
the people in heaven and hell switch on the radio. Did you know it?
In both heaven and hell.
Yeah. So much did you enjoy your shows. You know,
Yes.
male students, that is male, not female, male students, should not be denied any seats at any varsity or technicons.
Yeah.
With the shortage of seats in the various fields, in varsities or technicons, I think that preference should be given to male students and only the leftover seats should be offered to female students. We must remember that the duty of matriculant girls is to form a foundation for a family life. For them to be career-orientated is not as important as for a male to be career orientated.
Okay.
Women form
All right.
the foundation of society,
Okay.
where they should look after the welfare of the family.
Thank you,
Whereas
Saddam in
men-
Pretoria. So, women, foundation of the family. Mujalifa in Kwakwa, good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm nice, and you?
I'm very well, thanks. Vuyo, I met many people who are graduates. I'm not a graduate myself,
Okay.
but I've been busy. Having completed my matric, I volunteered services as a maths and science tutor in one of the development projects.
Okay.
And my maths was at E, symbol E. I got symbol E. But as I was a tutor, after 2 years, I decided to upgrade my symbol and I got an A symbol, which helped me put a slice of bread on the table. Okay. And if it wasn't because of that, maybe I should be part of those who are classified as unemployed. I got job through a learnership program.
Okay.
So I think the question should be, what is informing this high unemployment rate? Are we doing these things at the same time? In as much as we have graduates, do we have programs in place as government to say, employers, you are now compelled to train these people, because we may find a situation whereby people are unemployed because they don't have the experience.
Yeah.
And if employers can be compelled by law that at least you train 4 people or 10 people per annum, because the very same employer will be advertising a position tomorrow, saying he or she, that employer needs somebody who is having a fitting and turning qualification. But if you are not training those who were maybe at the colleges, so that when you need them, they have that experience you need, obviously the crisis will continue. So
Okay.
to those who are unemployed today, I want to say to them, it is a matter of time. Remember the day you were doing matric, saying, I want to see myself having completed a particular degree. You completed that particular degree. I want to say to them, it is a matter of time. They are going to get that job which meets their needs and talent.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thanks, Mujalifa in Kwakwa. Matlozi in Bombela, good morning.
Good morning, Khatib and your guests. How are you? Let me pull off the road as a respected South African citizen applying the law. Khatib, you know, in the fact we do not have unemployed graduates in South Africa.
Say again?
We do not have unemployed graduates in South Africa.
Okay.
We've got unemployable graduates.
That word again. Okay.
The reason is that, as they have already cited, what to call the issue of certification. This theory was coined in 1976 by Dr. Ronald Doe, diploma disease. People are chasing papers. So there is something terribly wrong with our qualifications. Our qualifications first do not equip our graduates with skills, first and foremost, that when they face the world of work, they can fit. What they do, they produce graduates, but unfortunately, those guys who are there, who cannot even construct properly a curriculum vitae. You know, most graduates, they don't know that in your curriculum vitae, your qualifications are supposed to be in a reverse order. But
Okay.
it doesn't end there. When you invite a person for an interview, you listen. It's where you have to command the language, and you must be what to call. Always, time and again, I used to say to people after interview, my learned friend, you don't study for a degree, you read for a degree.
Okay. Let's leave it at that, Matlozi. Megal in Cape Town, good morning.
Hi, boy, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit opposite of education.
Okay.
Myself, as I'm speaking, that I am uneducated.
Okay.
Not having any matric, not degree, nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm very successful in the work industry. I started to work as in the production in a company that in Cape Town, and I left up a little bit on a rapping sales rep.
Okay.
and I'm successful. And then just a few days later, I give the resignation to my company to resign, but they don't want to let me go. They offer me a position of management in a company. And I'm talking as a not matriculated person. And
okay.
what I discovered that...
So what is your secret of success?
I mean, the secret of success is, first, I heard people say about humility and get to understand that you are the one that you come to look for work. It's not the work come to look for you.
Okay.
When you get there, you have to do what it takes in order for you. You know, today we're getting people that when you get to the work industry, you start to show them that how clever you are and how smart you are.
Okay. Miguel, I'm going to ask that we leave at that, but I think it's important. Face ahead and do what it takes. Let's return now to our panelists, and perhaps let's start off with on the line, talking to us about his own experiences and just some of the things that he has had to do in this regard. We'll speak to Lotta in just a moment. Now, let's speak to Lotta. Lotta, just the last caller was talking about just facing ahead and doing what it takes. Do you believe this is what graduates must do at this time?
Well, I think, Vuyo, you need to realize that having a degree itself or a diploma does not guarantee an employment for you, although it puts you in a better chance to get employment. But it's basically your attitude. And Madlozi spoke about unemployability, which is now, as a person, you've got the product that you have, yourself as a product. You need to package it and sell it to an employer. Mm-hmm. And you need to go and say to an employer, this is what you've advertised, this is what you need, and this is how I see I can do for you in your organization. And also, when you're looking into that job, you go to the employer's website. Do you know what to look for? You must look for things like their vision, their objectives. What is that they prioritize? What is the organization about? Then when you do your skills profile, your degree profile, then you're going to say, well, as a person, this is what I possess, this is what I've learned, and this is what I can bring to this organization. Because normally you talk to people and you ask them as to why are you coming to this organization. They say, well, because I'm unemployed. That's not the answer you want to give an employer. You must package what you have, the skills you have, the competences you have, and sell it to an employer. That is very important. So your attitude in selling that, it is very important as well.
Do you find, just from the Graduates Development Agency, do you find that young people understand what employers are looking for when they apply for jobs, preparing their CVs, preparing themselves for interviews?
Many of them do not.
Yeah.
They certainly don't.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get a guy who will just forward you a CV without saying anything.
Yeah.
Or you'll just get someone who say, hey, see what you can do.
Yeah.
No. So what we call actually, I'm glad Madlozi, I think Yolanda as well as Lotta are touching on this. We call this your employment attraction skills.
Yeah.
Packaging your CV, looking at exactly knowing how to, handle an interview. It's not a soft skill. Oftentimes people call these soft skills. They are not. We do at SAGDA CV assistant, CV repair. Because that is very important to understand what to
CV
put,
repair.
In a resume. A lot of young people, they have resumes. When you look at them, you really want to cry. Because you look at it to say, this is supposed to be your ambassador. This is supposed to be selling yourself. And yet, it is doing a disservice to you. So we do that so that we can better help them. Coming to the issue of unemployability. This is purely real. We're talking here, there are two facets of issues that we need to look at. There are macro issues that pertains to issues of education or training for work or training for employability. There's also issues of that are micro issues of employment attraction, an attitude of a graduate. Those are compelling issues. Yet, what I'm saying is that I agree that there are many graduates who are unemployable. Yet, we believe that with the programs that are available...
I don't understand that. You see, this word came up again last week. What? Unemployable. I mean, what does unemployable mean?
Why do you want to employ a person, Vuyo? Let's start there before Vusi comes in.
Yeah.
You want someone who will add value in organization, who will grow your bottom line, who will ensure that your customers are happy and they are satisfied. You want someone who will become what? A leverage to the business, not a liability.
Yeah, but I mean, who is unemployable? I mean, what does that mean?
So here's
somebody with a diploma from one college here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what does unemployable mean?
Unemployable means that if we were to put you in a position where you're employed in our organization, you would not be of value. Simple. That's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
It means that
it doesn't mean you're not ready to be employed.
No, it means your qualification, your demeanor, your presence, your physical self is of no value to this organization.
We're writing you off.
Yeah, that's exactly
what
it means.
You're unemployable. You can't be helped.
So it means before the point at which we employ you and put you on our books as a permanent employee, we can foresee we're going to have issues with you around your ability to deliver and add value. Then therefore already. And here's what it's driven by, exactly what he's talking about. It's driven by the attitude of the young person, it's driven by their demeanor, it's driven by their ability to communicate. Let me give you an example. Last year in December, I'm doing some work with the Department of Human Settlements. They've got in a room a group of young people, all of whom are graduates who are about to go into the workplace. I said to them, show me your CV.
Yeah.
The overwhelming majority of them have CVs that look like it's something on Facebook.
Yeah.
He's taken his picture there when he was out partying with his friends. It's on his CV. The thing is on a Word document. Now, it sounds like a benign example, but to an employer, it communicates exactly what it is you're going to be expecting from that person.
So it seems to me then the problem is at university or in high school. We need to be spending time to saying to young people, this is how to compile your CV. This is the information that is important.
That's correct.
I'm just concerned about this thing where you write people off. I just take strong exception to it. I don't understand. I mean, I can just imagine when I completed high school, somebody telling me I'm unemployable. I mean, can you imagine how demeaning that can be?
Yes, but I think it's a truth. Here's the thing for you.
You're not ready to be employed.
But
you do not demonstrate the skills we're requiring. You need to add this and that. That is understandable. But to say to you, we're writing you off.
I do not think it's saying we're writing you off.
Unemployable.
As I've said, remember, not each and every graduate ought to be employed. That's number one. You know, what we're looking at SAGDA is that we want to channel a number of graduates to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
We want to channel a number of graduates to service orientation. I mean, government has put the most wonderful program you call skills development.
Yeah.
The Levy program. There's millions and millions available for young people to go out there and access.
For themselves.
But many people think that getting a stipend of 3,000 or 4,000 as a kickstart is nothing. They want to become managers. So on the other level, what you look at is that it's not saying we're writing it off. Yolanda asked, what is SAGDA doing?
Yes.
You know, to get young people and support.
To engage with the corporate world.
We lobby with your business unit in South Africa. We have an MOU with them, with your Chamber of Mines, who are currently working with them. They invite us, they make commitments to say SAGDA will take 1,000 graduates a year. Anglo Gold Ashanti is taking graduates from us to say, look, we won't just give them only a stipend, we'll give them fixed-term contracts. And it's up to you, prove yourself. So companies are coming on board to say, we will take them through internships. The Transport and Education Training Authority said to us, SAGDA will give you 1,000 graduates a year, you know, with full stipend.
Okay.
Take them to companies so that they can get work experience. What you've just said is that the problem also is at the university level.
Yeah.
What do you come from university with? Do I come with certain skills, certain competencies, and certain knowledge? Because that must be well packaged. If you do not have that, then what's the value of your education?
Yeah. You see, the other challenge I think we have, and I can speak as a young person who's been both employed and an employer, is that when you go through the university route, often it is not communicated the actual learnings that you go through every single day. What is their impact on industry?
Yeah.
So we're sitting here and talking about young people as if they're too lazy to find out. Actually, they're not told. They're not told that if you're sitting in a BCom first year computational mathematics course, that when you're learning derivatives, it's a function of how business does its finances. It's a function of if
they're
you
not
join the
told by who?
They're not told by the lecturers. They're not told by the people who are imparting the knowledge.
Yeah.
So in other words, you're taught the technical skill of how to put together a derivatives table or a pivot table or any of these things.
They didn't Google this thing.
But no one tells you that lento ifundai. You're learning it so that when you go into business, you can apply it in this way.
Yeah.
So when these young people are sitting in interviews, you're finding I'll give you an example. I'm going through interviews over December to employ some people in my organization, and this word keeps coming up in the CVs, assertive. So I said to one of the young people, so you're assertive, yes? Because I'm reading, they have characteristics, I'm young, I'm what, and I'm assertive. I said, what does assertive mean?
Yeah.
And she gives me some off the line. So clearly, it is a template what's picked up, and somebody used this word, now everybody's using it. So here's what it is I'm trying to say fundamentally, is make sure that you tailor yourself for your employer. young people must also be careful to do that. Young people also play this numbers game, and let's be honest about it, Vuyo. And I can see you taking exception, but
No,
let's be
I'm
honest about
not.
it.
I'm
So
just
young
thinking now that the standards are so high. Eh? I mean, you come out of university, you must tailor yourself. It's no longer acceptable to have, like, you have a BA, and the BA, I mean, it used to be, and maybe one is out of touch, it used to be a point of departure. It's not like you've got the skills, because nobody comes out of an institution of higher learning with a skill. You've got a knowledge base.
Yes.
You go into an environment where this knowledge base is now converted into a skill.
Spot on.
If you come out as a journalist, you don't come out as a journalist. You've got the theory, communications, how to put the story together. But after that, you must go out now and do the stories.
Spot on.
And you get a press release and you get this, but you must now narrow all of that down and be able to communicate.
You've got the basics.
So I'm just feeling the standards are so high. It's almost, for me, the barriers to entry have been raised.
Can I just, if I may, here? You're quite right, Vuyo. And here's what it's driven by.
Yeah.
It's simple function of the numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers of unemployed graduates necessitate that if you want to stand out, you have to raise your level of entry. That's just the basic truth of it. And we can sit here and pontificate about it and go up and down about it. But unless you're going into a particular skill about which you went and got a particular qualification. So in other words, if I were going to become a journalist, I went and studied journalism. I want to become an investment banker, I did my
what
CFA.
did you come out with as a journalist?
There are other factors. You
As a
speak
graduate,
about barriers to entry.
Yeah.
It depends where you did your journalism.
Yeah.
If you did your
At
journalism
Rhodes.
at Rhodes, you are highly valued.
Sought after,
and sought after. But if you did it somewhere else, people would
At
there are
Forte.
employers who would say, I would not take a person from an FET college.
Can I just say, by the way, that logic is complete nonsense.
But it's there. How do we change it?
It's a perception issue. Vuyo, it also drives down the question, when we have these debates and discussions around unemployed graduates, we must, as a country, have the conscience and truth to
What
ask
is the
question.
value of it?
But also, how many of these quarters and unemployed graduates are of a fairer skin tone?
Yeah.
And we must ask this question.
Okay.
And we must infer from that why that is.
Okay.
There's no truth to it. It's a simple perception question. It's a perception around the value that an individual will add because of the institution from which they come.
Okay, there's a lot of callers. You guys have gone completely on the rampage. A lot of people want to say a bit. Before I take all the callers, Lotta, unemployable, I don't know, am I just being overly sensitive here, or do you agree? I mean, you came out, people were writing you off, you eventually had to go and drive taxis. Were you unemployable?
No, I wasn't. But it's just that the timing for me was not correct. But there's certain things that you must understand as a person.
Yeah.
You need to show a willingness to learn and to adapt to any environment. We sometimes come out of universities and say, well, this is what I want to do, and this is the amount of money that I want to earn. And and the question is, are you worth that amount of money that you say you want to earn? You also, employers, they're going to ask you about experience, and you're going to say to me that, where will you get experience from? I'll tell you, I was a cashier as well, and I was a sales assistant at Look and Listen. That type of experience, you need to go to to a labor to get employment somewhere. You need to show that somewhere in your life you've dealt with customers, you know the value of customers to the organization.
All right.
And that's the type of thing that you need. And you need to accumulate that while you're still at university. And at university, I was a chairperson for the tutors. I was tutoring Mathematics 1 and Mathematics 2 and Chemistry. And that experience, you put all that together. And if you tell stories like that to an employer, the employer is definitely going to see that you're obviously going to add a value to that particular organization.
Okay. Let's take some calls, 0891 104 207. Guys, I'm going to ask you to keep it tight. If you can, don't make a statement and a speech and that kind of thing. Briefly get to the point so that we can get through as many people as possible. Let's begin in the Cape. Tando, good morning to you.
Yes, Vuyo. I'm Tando. I'm calling from the Cape IT Initiative, Vuyo.
Okay.
And we, as the Cape IT Initiative, run programs along the lines of the topic that you have chosen today, you know. We have a program called the Capacity 1000. Which is a unique training, internship and support program, basically. It was created to fast-track non-IT graduates and unemployed graduates, in diplomates into careers in IT skills that are in critical short supply.
Is this available to people in the Western Cape, in Cape Town?
It's actually available nationally to people all over the country.
Okay.
If people are graduates, basically, they can apply to some of the programs that we run, and they can check our website and us on Facebook. Our website is www.capacity1000.org.za, and capacity is CAPACITI 1000.org.za.
All right, brilliant. Thank you very much, Tando. Capacity1000.org.za. Peter, Mpumalanga, good morning to you.
Good morning, Vusi. I'm very upset with this, with the education department and with this person who actually was saying about Facebook. The thing is, I'm not regarding the thing about Facebook itself.
Okay.
I'm suffering from epilepsy.
Okay.
Simple, complex, partial seizures. I don't fall down and have shake and all this stuff. What happened with me is this unemployable, as you were, what you had even confused with this word. I've been faced with it for the past 8 years. I completed almost half of my degree, my BCom finance degree, and what happened was I wasn't since my disease actually got worsened. The university, although the doctors have wrote a letter and stuff like this, and the university wasn't prepared to actually accommodate me, but they were accommodating people who have depression, anxiety, but for me with a pathological disease, they didn't want to actually accept me. And at work, when applying at work, as soon as when I say epilepsy, like for me, I didn't put my real name in because of the stigma.
Peter, are you working at the moment?
Yes, I am working, but it's a thing that how I'm actually working is because I didn't inform the people about epilepsy.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten the job.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten the job.
Peter, what's the point you want to make?
The point that I want to make is that when the person's saying about Facebook, I want to ask the same person that actually graduated and is employing people, he must be dead honest that if a person comes with a pathological thing and has got epilepsy, will he employ a person like this? He must be dead honest. I mean, this is the thing, because I find the Epilepsy Foundation of South Africa took the situation to the Human Rights Commission and has done nothing about it. It's over 3 years.
Okay.
And the thing is, I want to ask this person particularly. We're busy with the education department. It's pathetic. Due to the tertiary education not allowing for me to further study with my degree.
Okay. Peter, thank you very much. I do apologize, but we do need to take a few more callers as well. But Vusi will respond just about appointing somebody with epilepsy. Zakele, good morning in Joburg. Hi, Zakele.
Fine. In the interest of time, I just want to talk about this.
Okay.
You got these people who just finished matric running all over the show. They all want to go to the universities.
Yeah.
Yet there's over 100,000 spaces available at the FET colleges.
Okay.
Number two, where we have our own company here, if you can give us a driver, I'm talking about a driver who will pitch up here in the morning and then leave at 5 o'clock and do what we want him to do.
Okay.
Can't get a driver. And if we can give
Where are you based?
We are based in Ilofest. Let me just finish for you. If we can get a secretary, because my friend has had to employ his wife, because the ones that we have here, they're busy playing on Facebook, and they just never execute any task that we ask them. The third one that I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
If you look at the profile of the construction companies, all of them, the Murray & Roberts and the WBHO, in each and every construction company, there is less than 10% people with the degrees. The rest of the people are coming from FET colleges. Those are your contractors up there.
Yeah.
And the last one that I want to talk about, and I'm not in defense of labor brokers, we must go the labor broking route, because we're not going to hire people who are going to come and sit here and not add to the bottom line.
Okay.
We have to talk to the labor broker and manage these people and get them trained.
Okay.
If I were to be allowed to do what, I could place at least 10 people with Murray & Roberts and the other construction companies through the labor broking.
Right. Zakele, stay on the line. Lebo will take down your details. Somebody might call us and say they're looking for a driver's job. Vusi, very briefly, what's your point? Ashantiwa, good morning. Hi.
It's Mvusi.
Mvusi, yes, I can hear you now. Mvusi, good morning.
Good morning. Look,
Yeah.
I think the problem we have is that the curriculum that we teach our kids from primary to secondary and all these levels to tertiary is not good.
Okay.
We should be teaching them curriculum that includes a year doing the work that they are learning. Even if it's in the second year, take them to do the work that you are teaching these kids so that when they come out with innovative ideas, they come out with experience and knowing what they want to do. I think the research that Vimane is doing is going to help us a lot in that.
Okay, thanks, Mvusi. Ashantiwa, good morning.
Hi, Vuyo. I just have to concur with you because I think Vusi is disappointing me this morning. He used to be very motivational. I mean, to be living in an African country and somebody uses a term to an African child, unemployable. You know, I understand the technicalities, but every child, every young person that stands in front of you have some potential to work. And even if we come up the premise that they don't have the technical skills, Bootsy, I cannot. Today you really made my heart palpitate because I'm saying, where are you getting your context? And maybe sitting in Joburg for long or whatever has kind of thwarted the way you're understanding this. But like you, Buyo, I don't believe that any young person coming out of Metric or wherever they're coming from is not able to get some kind of employment. And I just feel that using that word unemployable also goes against the grains of the exact skills development that you're talking about, Boosie and your guests. So I think, thank you, Vuyo, for bringing that up, but we cannot see African people in this century as unemployable. Whatever the circumstances, we can make them employable.
Thank you very much. Ashantiwa in Durban. Sure, there's so much to talk about, and I know there's a lot of people on the lines. Apologies, guys. I'm going to give you 30 seconds each to wrap. We will commit to doing a roundtable. I think this discussion requires higher education. It requires employer organizations to be part of the conversation so that we can come out with something that is meaningful for everybody. Maybe Vusi, you respond first. Epilepsy, Facebook, and what Ashantiwa is talking about now.
Well, I think let me start with Ashantiwa. I think whilst my heart bleeds for what she's saying, we have to face the truth and reality of the world within which we live. We live in a competitive world where organizations and businesses are compelled to be competitive against their peers. And businesses will bring people on board who will help them advance their competitive edge. And we must face that. You can't say, well, because we're in an African space, we're going to be benevolent and ever giving, regardless of the standard that we want to achieve.
Yeah.
And I think that's the context within which organizations say unemployable. I'm not speaking for businesses. Okay. I'm simply giving you my perception of the issue.
All right.
Around the epilepsy question, I think he has a very valid point. You know, last year I spent some time with an organization called RIA, a 70-year-old epilepsy organization.
Yeah.
I spent some time going to see them just to get it grounded around what it is that they do.
Yeah.
And he's spot on. It's a function of the complex that we have as a country and our perception of the issue. But I think if I may just lastly to the young graduates out there, the most important thing I can say, if anything else, is if you want it, go and get it. Have a plan around what you want to do with your life. Decide what you want to do with your life. Design your life so that you can do it.
Okay.
And then do it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Vuyo,
Dada?
What we're saying to graduates,
yes.
So we're talking first to learners.
Yeah.
Have a career plan. Have a career goal. Choose the subjects in what you call grade 8, standard 10. The correct subjects that will take you to where you want to go. It's not going to be pity that is going to give you the greatness that you want. Greatness comes from within and it connects with people that are great. Then they'll be able to give you resources and become your destiny helpers. To graduates, what we're saying is that come to SAGDA. We are available. We have operations countrywide. Our website is www.sagda.org.za. Vuyo will give out our other details, our contact details, and our email address.
Okay.
But what is important about life,
you
know who you are, what you have to do, and do it very well, and you'll receive what you need to receive.
All right, fantastic. Lotta, just a final thought and a final word from you.
Well, my advice to graduates is that they should look into what is that required in the marketplace, particularly with the job that you're interested in, and then tailor your CV and show the competencies that the employer wants, so that they can see at least that you've taken an initiative, you're serious about this job. And I think basically what got me where I am today as a regional manager of an environmental firm in the Western Cape is the change of attitude and willingness to learn and show to the employer that you can deliver.
Okay.
So that's very important.
Thank you very much. Let's leave it at that. Thank you very much to our panelists talking about this very important national subject. Lota Mayama, a former unemployed graduate. Tamsak Ngamaqubela is with the South African Graduates Development Association. Vusi Thembekwayo is a motivational speaker. 11 o'clock. National 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 speaker. 11.